Due to the importance of the first 5 minutes of Dead of Night, audiences will not be seated after the beginning of the picture. Dead of Night, the story of one night in a small town that changed the lives of many and ended the lives of some.
I'm Captain Cinema. Now, before I start this review, I have to address a few things. First off, how I came across this movie. A little over a decade ago, while scouring the aisles of Borders, yes, that long ago, I came across the book Fangoria's 101 Best Horror Movies You've Never Seen. It was a compilation of some of those underrated gems that I usually rave about in my reviews, and I made it my mission to see all 101 movies. Some movies shouldn't have been listed, but others were absolutely amazing. I have 2 movies left to see and my mission is complete. This is one of those great movies I found on that list, and the worst part about it is I remember walking under the VHS big box so many times during my teens. Look at this cover art and tell me it's not amazing. What really makes this movie stand out is that it's from director Bob Clark. Yes, the same Bob Clark behind A Christmas Story. Now, I normally don't like the idea of remakes, but there are 2 movies that I will strongly suggest be remade. Before I start getting hate mail, let me explain. The studio system is all gung-ho about remaking movies that are classics so they can bring them to a younger audience. This is a lie, and it's all about the money, not the movie. The only way I'll support a remake is if the idea is a timeless one and it's socially relevant to the current state of affairs. The first of the 2 that I'll suggest being remade is White Dog. With the anti-cruelty laws we have now and the racial issues throughout the U.S., it could be a great movie. Sadly, due to those same reasons I mentioned, this movie would never get remade by today's standards. The other movie, the one I'm reviewing today, Deathdream, also known as Dead of Night, Night Walk, The Night Andy Came Home, and The Veteran. Deathdream is based off the short story The Monkey's Paw. Andy's away in Vietnam when his platoon comes under fire. Andy gets shot, and we hear his mother's creepy voiceover saying that he cannot die. Back at home, his family is coping with the uncertainty of his well-being. The father, Jack Waltz from The Godfather, retreats into drink. His sister is just a teen, and his mother lives in a perpetual state of disbelief. When they get a knock on the door, later that night, a strange sound wakes them up. When they all go to investigate, Andy's come home.
They actually said that my son was dead.
I was.
Throughout the movie, we see that Andy isn't himself. He's cold, he's distant, he's quick to violence, even killing the family dog. We watch as we see Andy slowly turn into a monster. His father sees this, but his mother turns a blind eye to it. The last shot of the film is about acceptance, and it's as disturbing as it is heartbreaking. Writer Alan Ormsby, the same writer that brought us Deranged, My Bodyguard, Cat People, Popcorn, and The Substitute, perfectly sums up the struggle of returning war vets and their battle with, you know what, take it away, St. George.
There's a condition in combat, most people know about it. It's when a fighting person's nervous system has been stressed to its absolute peak and maximum, can't take any more input. The nervous system has either snapped or is about to snap. In the First World War, that condition was called shell shock. Simple, honest, direct language. 2 syllables, shell shock. Almost sounds like the guns themselves. That was 70 years ago. Then a whole generation went by, and the Second World War came along, and the very same combat condition was called battle fatigue. 4 syllables now. Takes a little longer to say. Doesn't seem to hurt as much. Fatigue is a nicer word than shock. Shell shock. Battle fatigue. Then we had the war in Korea, 1950. Madison Avenue was riding high by that time, and the very same combat condition was called operational exhaustion. Hey, we're up to 8 syllables now. And the humanity has been squeezed completely out of the phrase. It's totally sterile now. Operational exhaustion. Sounds like something that might happen to your car. Then, of course, came the war in Vietnam, which has only been over for about 16 or 17 years. And thanks to the lies and deceit surrounding that war, I guess it's no surprise that the very same condition was called post-traumatic stress disorder. Still 8 syllables, but we've added a hyphen. And the pain is completely buried under jargon. Post-traumatic stress disorder. I'll bet you if we'd have still been calling it shell shock, some of those Vietnam veterans might have gotten the attention they needed at the time.
I still miss that guy. Another amazing thing about this movie is that it's one of the first makeup jobs for returning war vet Tom Savini.
Deathdream was like I felt incredibly lucky. A kid out of high school, back from the Army and wondering what the hell I'm going to do. And being just in Florida and big camera and actors and hearing the word action.
And originally the part of Andy was supposed to go to Christopher Walken. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Mom, Dad, I'm back from Vietnam. I didn't get a medal, but I got this watch. Isn't it cool?
Once, Jane Fonda came to a camp. She brought her workout equipment with her. Hey, look, it's me, Christopher Walken, as a zombie. I guess you could say I'm the Walking Dead. Were this movie remade, it would still hold up. The idea of PTSD, which wasn't as widely known in the early 70s, makes Deathdream stand out. The strange part about this movie is that it's dark, atmospheric, and unsettling. It mirrors the scary reality of returning soldiers, the family struggling to keep things together back home. It's far more unsettling on many levels. It's slow, and you could argue that it's boring, but due to its subtle performances and slow build-up, it's worth a watch 4 decades later. Check it out. That's just my opinion. Now, if only there was another movie directed by Bob Clark, written by Alan Ormsby. Hey Chaz, do you know of any movies like this?
Do 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 do.